Okay, let's settle this once and for all. It's probably the biggest debate you hear in any gym. To lose fat, should you be living on the treadmill or should you be best friends with the weight rock? Today, we are settling it and we're going to use hard science to do it.
I mean, this is the question, right? You hit the gym, you're putting in the work, and you want to get the most bang for your buck, the most fat burned for every single drop of sweat. But as you're about to see, the answer isn't quite as simple as just picking one. So to make this totally real, let's imagine two people. Over here, we've got Hayden. He's training for an Ironman, so his entire life is basically one giant cardio session. And on the other side, you've got Chad, a bodybuilder who pretty much lives in the weight room. Now, who do you think has the lower body fat percentage?
Well, you might be surprised to hear that Chad, the bodybuilder, could actually be the leaner of the two. And there's some really cool science that explains exactly why. So let's get into this head-to-head comparison, starting with the reigning champ of burning calories.
First up in the ring, cardio. We all know it. It's the go-to for torching calories during a workout. If you want to burn energy, like right this second, a good run or a bike ride is absolutely your best friend.
And listen, this isn't just gym talk. The research totally backs this up. A huge review published in the Journal for Sports Neuroscience cuts right to it, saying that when you compare them side by side, cardio creates the most fat loss, point blank.
And just look at some of this data. It's pretty compelling. In one study, the Willis study, the cardio group lost almost 1.8 kilograms of weight, while the resistance group actually gained weight, which was probably muscle. Then look at the AlSafe study. The cardio group saw a way bigger drop in their BMI, their body mass index. The numbers here really do make a strong case for cardio's immediate punch when it comes to losing weight and fat.
So the takeaway here is pretty clear. If your one and only goal is to see that number on the scale go down and just purely reduce fat mass, cardio is an incredible tool. It's a total powerhouse. But that's not the whole story.
All right, let's bring in our second contender, strength training. Now, this is where things get really interesting, because we're shifting the conversation from just losing weight to actually changing your body's composition, what your body is made of.
And it all starts with this thing called your resting metabolic rate, or RMR. Just think of it as the number of calories your body burns just to stay alive, breathing, thinking, existing. Here's the magic trick with strength training. Muscle is more metabolically expensive than fat. It burns more calories, even when you're just sitting on the couch. So by building muscle, you are literally turning your body into a 24/7 calorie-burning machine.
So why is strength training such a game changer? Well, it's a fat loss multiplier for a few huge reasons. First, it builds that lean muscle we just talked about, which is your body's calorie-burning engine. Second, it kicks off something called the afterburn effect, or EPOC. That's a fancy term for saying your metabolism stays fired up for hours after you're done lifting. It also helps prevent that dreaded metabolic slowdown that can happen when you're dieting. And maybe most important of all, it helps you hold on to your muscle, which means the weight you do lose is mostly fat.
Okay, this quote from researcher Menno Henselmans, you really need to let this one sink in. He says, any muscle that you lose is fat that you're not losing. Think about that. When you diet, if you don't give your body a reason to keep its muscle, like through strength training, it's going to burn both fat and muscle for energy. And every bit of muscle you lose is a bit of fat that gets to stick around.
And this chart, it shows you exactly what that looks like in the real world. After a few months, sure, the cardio-only group loses a lot of fat. That's great. But they lose some muscle too. Now look at the strength training group. They lose a good amount of fat, but they actually gain muscle. The end result is a much, much better change in their overall body composition.
So okay, we've got cardio, the calorie-burning beast, and we've got strength training, the body-sculpting master. It kind of feels like you have to pick a side, right? Well, what if you don't? What if there's a third contender that nobody saw coming?
And this is where the science just drops the mic. This chart sums up a massive review of study after study, and the results are, well, they're not even close. You can see it right there. In a whopping 65% of the studies, a combination of cardio and strength training was found to be the most effective way to lose fat. That's not just a little more effective, that's a landslide.
So what does this all mean? It's simple, really. When you do both, you get the best of both worlds. You get that intense, in-the-moment calorie burn from cardio, and you get the metabolism-boosting, muscle-saving benefits of strength training. It is, without a doubt, the most powerful 1-2 punch for changing your body. Okay, we've laid out all the evidence for our three contenders: cardio, strength, and the combination. Now it's time to put it all together. declare a winner, and give you the final actionable takeaway.
So who wins? Well, here's the thing. It completely depends on what your goal is. If your single-minded focus is just making the number on the scale go down as fast as possible, cardio does have a slight edge. But if your goal is to improve your body composition, to look more toned or athletic, then strength training is absolutely non-negotiable. And doing a combination is the gold standard. And for keeping that fat off for good, that metabolic boost from strength training is your secret weapon.
But wait a second. After all this talk about workouts, there is one last crucial piece to this puzzle. And honestly, it's more important than anything else we've discussed. It's the one unbreakable rule that governs all of this.
And there it is. That's the ultimate truth of fitness. You just can't out-train a bad diet. It doesn't matter how many miles you run or how many pounds you lift. If your nutrition isn't dialed in, you simply will not get the results you want. Exercise is the amazing catalyst, but your diet? That's the foundation for everything.
So there you have it. The science is in. You now know that for most people, the absolute best approach is a smart combination of strength and cardio, all built on that solid foundation of good nutrition. The only question left is, what are you going to do with this information? How are you going to structure your workout?